The YSL RICO trial is finally starting. As it was officially announced today, the Young Thug and YSL RICO trial is expected to officially start November 27th. Starting tomorrow, 12 jurors and 6 alternates will be seated from the pool of 50 qualified jurors, with additional information shared here.
We finally have a jury. According to this tweet by Thugger Daily on Twitter, the jury's demographics are 9 women, 3 men, 7 black women, 2 white women, 1 white man, and then the 6 alternate jurors are 3 black women, 2 white men, and then 1 black man. So it's going to be a good mix of this jury. This started off with 28 indicted defendants, including Young Thug. Some of them took plea deals. Some of them have been severed from the case. Some of them don't have lawyers, not even public defenders. And one person is still on the run. And so after all of that, we are down to 7 defendants. So when this trial starts on November 27th, it will be 7 defendants in that courtroom. And that does include Young Thug.
As explained in the video, there was a total of 28 members arrested in this RICO case. However, after people snitching, people being excused, we're now down to only 7 YSL members, and that is including Young Thug. As this is exactly what Young Thug's lawyers want. They want less people in the trial so there's less confusion and they can all just focus on getting Young Thug released. An example of this was a man named YSL Polo that was acting like this in court last week.
I'll deal with that accordingly, but your client, I noticed, has been doing the same behavior, and I believe Judge Adams inquired into it as well. So I don't believe that he may be doing just for the purposes of just drawing attention to himself. But of course, sir, as you are well aware, I'm duty bound to consider whatever it is you want to tell me. But your client's nodded in affirmance. He just has some extra movements that the court entirety of this particular proceeding. So you haven't said anything up to this point in time, so I'm going to assume that that's something that you and he are working through.
As Young Thug's lawyers were arguing that he needs to be removed from the entire YSL trial, as a week later he even started acting like this again. As it would then shortly be announced, YSL Polo had been dropped from the YSL RICO case, which is a huge win for Young Thug. But the real win comes with a report of Lil Woody only snitching on Young Thug because he was forced to. As reports would go on and read, Brian Steele says Lil Woody was told he would get 25 years in federal prison in a different case if he did not cooperate against Young Thug, aka Snitch. The state refuses to give anything to the defense concerning the federal agent that went after Lil Woody with this. Brian Steele wants to put her on the stand and show the jury that Woody was told to lie about Jeffrey, aka Young Thug.
Specifically is on the recording, KC, that he will get, that she spoke with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and he is facing, if he does not cooperate against Mr. Williams, he's facing 25 years at a minimum charges in federal court, and there's no parole. I do not have one document, not one note or memoranda provided in discovery concerning ATF agent Cunningham.
With the YSL trial now beginning in 26 days, we will get an answer if all of the evidence Lil Woody provided will be usable or not, because if you remember in the original report of Lil Woody snitching, it was written, truth teller YSL Woody popped out on the gram last year after cooperating with police for 3 hours in solving over 50 crimes, telling on Young Thug, YFN Lucci, and others. Well, in that 3-hour interrogation Lil Woody had with law enforcement, that's where a majority of their evidence against Young Thug came from. So if Young Thug's lawyers can prove that Lil Woody was forced to snitch on Young Thug, that evidence will become unusable, leaving Young Thug in a great situation throughout this trial. As you may remember, when it was originally announced of Lil Woody snitching, this was Young Thug's reaction. Further proving how big of a deal Lil Woody snitching and the evidence he gave up was, he is the main reason that Young Thug was never released on bond, yet Gunna was allowed to. As Lil Woody is the main reason the prosecutor said this about Young Thug on the first ever YSL court hearing to prevent him from being released.
He's the one directing traffic. He is the one they're all afraid of. He's the one that's king slime. He is the most dangerous of the 28, Judge. And I implore you not to grant him a bond. He is dangerous. If he gets a burner, Judge, and the court may know this, a lot of the communications that Mr. Williams is on FaceTime because it's not traceable, it's not trackable. Judge, I will also say that we have taken proffers from fellow from Mr. Williams. Some are on this indictment, some are not. They have stated uniformly that Mr. Williams is dangerous. They are afraid of him, that if they cross him, he will them and their family. And they were very clear about that.
Concerns that this court has is danger to persons and to intimidate other witnesses and obstruct the administration of justice. So and for those reasons in the aggregate, I'm going to deny bond at this time.
While trying to figure out Lil Woody's snitching situation, Young Thug's lawyers are trying to have court sessions delayed. That way they can build a case on trying to prove that Lil Woody was forced to snitch against Young Thug. As first day back of the YSL RICO court hearings, the courtroom was all sent home early after mysteriously at the exact same time, several altercations rised inside and outside of the courtroom with YSL members going after security guards. Making it a little obvious that Young Thug's lawyers told these YSL members to most likely start these altercations. However, this is where things get a little concerning. To understand, we need to look at Young Thug's new charges that have just been added to his list, as new evidence reveals that Young Thug in the YSL rap group were doing rituals with goats, as a lawyer would go and say this.
But in this case, Hassan says he's unclear what specifically a goat could represent.
The theory behind animals is you're draining their energy, their power, and to use for mystical purposes, and obviously interviewing former members who were present who could explain the context and what if any ceremony was taking place. Then you have some illumination possibly on it.
He also said animal sacrifices may be illegal in some areas and not protected under religious freedoms.
As it just so happens where Young Thug lives, it just so happens to be one of the states where it is illegal to do the actions that YSL was doing with a goat. So this means more charges may get added to Young Thug's list, minimizing his chances at receiving a bond. However, it's very clear that Young Thug is being targeted for anything humanly possible to go against him. As earlier in the RICO case, Young Thug had his lawyer tweet to Michael Phelps an innocent tweet saying, and I quote, "I'm talking with my roommate and we're wondering if you could swim 100 miles from the middle of the ocean back to shore," at Michael Phelps. As prosecutors began creating a huge story alleging that this is code for YSL members in the free world to go commit crimes.
Williams is in a jail outside of Fulton County. There are 0 cell phones in that jail.
That last tweet that was sent out to Michael Phelps is recorded. It's been investigated by the sheriff of that county, and it was a conversation that's recorded between Mr. Williams and a member of his close friendships, that he asked the other person who has control of his Twitter account. That is not a reason to...
Well, this is part of the conversation, Mr. Steele, and you and others are going to need to have with your clients, because this is part of of the state's concern. I mean,
That was an innocent. That's nothing bad. Asking somebody to tweet to Michael Phelps, "Can you swim 100 miles in the ocean?" That has nothing to do with intimidation. So I'd ask you.
Well, if I can communicate through a family member or somebody else, then I can communicate something else.
Everything okay over there?
Sorry.
Yep. Okay, your family was concerned that something was going on. You're fine, right?
Yes, I'm great.
Okay, cool.
With Young Thug having charges added to his list, Young Thug's lawyers know that he needs to do something positive. This is why Thug's father would go and do a random interview this week, stating that Gunna didn't snitch on Young Thug, and there is still a lot of love for Gunna. It kinda seems like Young Thug's dad is trying to make it look like Young Thug wants no revenge against Gunna for snitching, as the interview kinda looks like a setup.
Courtney said, how do you feel about Gunna?
I love Gunna.
See, that's the thing. People don't understand the relationship. They got this thing saying that Gunna is a rat and he's done this and done that.
But see, let me try to help the attorney clarify that a little simpler.
Okay.
Gunna hasn't done anything whatsoever that can hurt us on this case. Period.
Young Thug's lawyers don't want the judge believing that Young Thug wants any sort of revenge against Gunna for what he did. But according to rappers, what Gunna did completely ruined Young Thug's life, as 6ix9ine even hopped on a Clubhouse call with Whack 100, explaining that Young Thug is in a terrible situation because of Gunna's snitching deal.
So me pleading guilty is only making it worse for my man. I'm saying I was there. Yes, I did it. I plead guilty. I am guilty. I am guilty. Anything you said in that courtroom is going to be used against your man, my man. That is over.
Even just a week after that call, he then met up with DJ Akademiks to share more thoughts on Gunna's snitching.
He just implicated YSL being so now he's home, right? All the people who's locked up, like Jeffrey, like Young Thug, now he can't go with that defense. He can't go with the defense of saying, I'm a record label.
As while Gunna snitching may not have affected Young Thug's life, according to Young Thug's father, we are learning what it's doing to other rappers in the Atlanta area. As right now we're witnessing a complete takeover of the rap industry with RICO charges by the Atlanta DA. She's been offering amazing proffer deals to many YSL snitches who have now gone on to mention Lil Baby's name. As DJ Akademiks would reveal, Lil Baby and members of 4PF are next on the RICO list.
An in-depth investigation. Recent months, you've had 2 high-profile racketeering cases. There's going to be more.
Over the next 60 days, you'll see 2 more.
As Lil Baby would even go on to react to this outside of an airport.
How you doing, Lil Baby? Lil Baby. Well, baby, how's Young Thug doing? I know all the circumstances. Just want to see how they holding up good? Sure. All right. Love what you're doing, man.
As this is connected to one last thing that is holding Young Thug back from being released. To understand this further, we need to dive deep back into the man named YSL Polo, as he is playing a major role in the Young Thug trial. Fans would investigate all of the YSL members that are currently in jail. Allegedly, YSL Polo, the man acting very strange, was in the same cell block as another man named Khalif Adams while sitting in jail. He is a YSL member that tried slipping Young Thug something during a court hearing, where it was announced that my colleague Mark just obtained surveillance video that shows the moment prosecutors accuse Young Thug and his co-defendant Khalif Adams of conduring a hand-to-hand deal inside of court. As it continues reading, prosecutors say the surveillance shows Adam walking over to where Young Thug is seated with his attorney and then dropping narcotics in his hand. A deputy confronts Young Thug and he turns the item over to authorities. When deputies searched Adams, they found him in possession of narcotics wrapped in plastic and food seasoning to conceal the odor. As this got so serious that Young Thug's own lawyer had to go outside of the courtroom to state the following.
The reality is, Mr. Williams had nothing to do with what went on in the courtroom on yesterday. One of the co-defendants, on his way to the restroom, attempted to pass something to Mr. Williams, who immediately turned it over to the deputy.
He did not know it was allegedly Percocet?
Did not know. Well, we don't know what it is. Did not know what it was, turned it over to the deputy right away. The deputies took action. The individual who had the contraband, not Mr. Williams, was taken into the back.